If your grocery bill has felt heavier lately, you are not imagining it, and you are not failing at this. In 2026, grocery shopping is harder to read than it used to be. Prices move in smaller steps, package sizes quietly shrink, sales get mixed with regular pricing, and the receipt often looks fine until you stare at it at home and realize you paid more than you meant to pay. That is the part many people miss. The problem is not always one giant mistake. It is usually a dozen tiny leaks. A forgotten item in the fridge, a duplicate charge, a unit price that looked reasonable but was not, a cart that picked up two extras while nobody was paying attention, a package that got smaller while the shelf tag stayed loud and confident. And because those leaks are small, people blame themselves. They say they are not disciplined enough. They say they need to try harder. But a lot of the pressure is built into the system. Stores are designed to move you quickly, nudge you visually, and make comparison harder than it should be. So this is not a lecture about living on beans or cutting every comfort out of your life. This is consumer defense. It is about protecting your money, reducing waste, and making grocery shopping easier to read again. There are a few tiny habits that can stop price shock before checkout. Most take less than a minute. Some take a few seconds, but together, they can close the most common holes in a grocery budget without making your life miserable. And the first protection starts before you ever leave the house. Before you write anything down, open the fridge and the pantry. Not for a deep clean, just a quick scan. You are looking for three things: what you already have, what is close to being used up, and what is already waiting in the back that you forgot about. This one step prevents one of the most expensive kinds of waste: duplicate buying. A lot of grocery overspending does not happen because people choose luxury items. It happens because they buy the second jar of mustard, the extra bag of rice, the backup crackers, or another bottle of sauce simply because the first one was hidden behind something else. Then those duplicates sit. Then they expire. Then the household buys them again. That is how money slips away quietly. A simple pantry check changes the whole trip. It gives your list a better shape, it keeps your memory from doing all the work, and it helps you notice what should actually be used first. If you want a low-effort version, keep a visible running list on the fridge. Paper works. A whiteboard works. A note stuck with a magnet works. The important part is not the format, it is visibility. When someone in the house uses the last eggs, write eggs. When the coffee runs low, write coffee. When the canned tomatoes are down to 1, write it immediately. Do not trust memory to hold everything, especially when prices are moving around and shopping trips are rushed. That small list does more than remind you what to buy. It prevents emergency shopping, which is one of the easiest ways stores win. Emergency shoppers buy faster, compare less, and accept higher totals because they want to get in and out. The next home habit is even simpler, and most people ignore it. Label leftovers in open containers. Not because you're being fussy, because unlabeled food turns into invisible money loss. A container without a date gets pushed to the back of the fridge. A half-used salad bag gets forgotten. A soup container becomes a mystery. A piece of chicken gets found 2 days too late. Then, the household buys more food because it looks like there is nothing to eat, even though there is food in the house that was simply hidden from view. That is a very common pattern, especially in busy homes. And it is not a character flaw. It is a visibility problem. A strip of tape and a marker can solve part of it. Write the date, write the item if needed. Put the oldest food in front. You do not need to reorganize your whole kitchen. You just need to stop food from disappearing into the back of the system. When grocery prices are high, forgotten food is not a small issue. It is a repeat purchase you did not need to make. Now, before you leave the house, there is one more one-minute habit that protects you from hidden spending. Check your bank or card transactions quickly. Not a deep financial review, just a glance. Look for forgotten subscriptions, duplicate charges, or fees that should not be there. A streaming service you no longer use. A delivery app charge you forgot about. A membership renewal that happened quietly. Why does this matter in a grocery video? Because grocery pressure is never only about groceries. If your household has $10 or $15 leaking out every month from something you barely use, That is money that is not available at the store. And when grocery bills are already stretched, those little leaks matter more than people realize. The goal here is not to become obsessed with every line item in your life. The goal is to separate spending money from bill money as clearly as you can. Even a simple routine helps. One account for regular bills if that is possible. One clear place for everyday spending. One place where surprise charges are easier to spot. That creates margin. And margin is what keeps a grocery trip from feeling like a crisis. Now let's move into the store, because this is where many people start losing money without noticing it. The first store-side trap is the one that sounds boring but costs people real money. Unit price confusion. The sticker price is not always the real comparison. The shelf tag might show a lower total price on one package, but the unit price might be worse. A larger box can sometimes cost less per ounce. A smaller package can look cheaper and actually cost more. Two items can seem similar until you notice that one quietly gives you less for the same money. That is why shelf comparison matters more than brand loyalty. If you are comparing two packages, look at the unit price, not just the big number on the front. The store counts on hurried eyes. The packaging counts on familiar shapes. The design counts on you noticing the logo before you notice the ounces. This is especially important now because shrinkflation has made packaging harder to trust at a glance. A familiar product may feel unchanged, but the size is smaller. The weight is lower. The count inside is reduced. The package still looks like the same item, but the value is not the same. So your habit is simple. Compare the shelf tag, compare the weight, compare the unit price. If two items are close, take 10 seconds longer. That pause can save more than a flashy sale sign ever will. The second store trap is visual, and it works on almost everybody. End caps and eye-level placement. Those big display areas at the end of aisles are not neutral. They are built to catch attention. The same is true of products placed right at eye level. Those spots are expensive, and stores know people buy more when the item is easy to see and easy to grab. That does not mean every item on an end cap is bad. It means you should treat display placement as a marketing signal, not a quality signal. When you see a display, ask one question. Did I need this before I saw it? If the answer is no, slow down. You are looking at a decision the store wants to make for you. A calm shopper is a powerful shopper. You do not have to reject every display. You just have to make sure the display does not override the list. And that brings us to one of the most useful habits in the whole video. The cart pause. Before checkout, stop for 10 seconds and look at the cart as if it belongs to somebody else. Not to judge yourself, just to inspect the drift. What was on the list? What got added because it looked useful? What got added because it was near the register or sitting on a tempting display? What can be put back without creating a problem at home? This is where many people recover money they already thought was gone. One unplanned snack, one extra beverage, one convenience item, one might-as-well purchase. It does not look like much in the moment. But those items are exactly how the total creeps up. If you have ever gotten to the register and felt that quiet pressure to just pay and move on, you are not alone. Stores know that energy. They count on it. So use the pause. One hand in the cart. One look at the list. One decision to remove just one item if it is not truly needed. That one habit can change the entire bill. Now let's do a quick reset, because this next part is where a lot of hidden money disappears. If you remember only one thing from this video, remember this. The grocery receipt is not optional. It is not waste paper. It is the record of whether the store charged you correctly. Receipt mistakes are not rare enough to ignore. A sale price may not come through. An item may scan twice. A discount may be missing. A digital offer may not apply the way you expected. And if you do not look, you never know which one happened. This is why the best time to catch an error is at the counter, not in your car. And definitely not 2 days later when you no longer remember exactly what was supposed to be on sale. You do not need to argue. You do not need to become confrontational. You just need to check. Look at the total. Look at the items that were supposed to be on promotion. Look for anything that seems off. If something looks wrong, point to it calmly and ask for it to be checked. A lot of people avoid this because they do not want to slow the line or cause a scene. But this is your money, and very often the correction is simple. That is the consumer shift here. Not suspicion of everything, just verification. And once you start checking receipts, you will notice another pattern. The store often gives you very little time to think. Items are scanned quickly. Bags are packed quickly. Loyalty prompts appear quickly. Upsells appear quickly. The whole process is built to keep you moving, not to help you inspect the bill. That is why a receipt review is not annoying. It is protective. Now let's talk about the waste problem most families underestimate, because this is where grocery spending becomes a loop. You buy food. You forget some of it. You waste part of it. Then you replace it. Then the budget tightens again. Then the next trip becomes more stressful. The cycle continues because the house is not fully using what it already has. This is why a short kitchen reset can protect your grocery dollars better than buying extra containers, extra organizers, or more clever storage solutions. Start with the fridge. What is old enough that it should be eaten soon? What is hidden behind the newer items? What has already gone soft or forgotten? Then check the pantry. Do you already have 2 of the same pasta? 2 open bags of rice? 3 snack boxes with different levels of fullness? That is not abundance. That is duplication. A lot of waste comes from not being able to see what is already in the house. And here is the important part. You do not need perfection. You just need visibility. If you label leftovers, keep older items in front, and do a quick kitchen scan before shopping, you will avoid a surprising amount of accidental waste. That alone can help the grocery bill feel less chaotic because you are no longer paying twice for the same category of food. The 5th habit is small but powerful. It takes less than a minute and tells you a lot about your actual spending patterns. Look for one category that always leaks money. For some households, it is drinks. For others, it is snack foods. For others, it is convenience meals, bakery items, deli purchases, or little add-ons that do not feel serious in the moment. These are not moral failures. They are repeat patterns. Once you know your pattern, you can protect against it. If drinks are the leak, compare sizes more carefully. If snacks are the leak, decide before you enter the store how many are actually going in the cart. If convenience foods are the leak, keep a couple of fallback meals in the house so the store does not sell you speed every time life gets busy. You are not cutting joy out of your life. You are deciding where joy is worth paying full price and where the store is padding the total. That distinction matters, because when people feel pressured, they often make emotional purchases and call them necessities. Sometimes they are, often they are not. And the store is very happy to let the line blur. Here is another habit that protects dignity as much as money. Never shop hungry, rushed, or distracted if you can avoid it. That sounds simple, but it matters. Hunger raises impulse buying. Rushing weakens comparison. Distraction makes it easier to miss price changes and smaller package sizes. If you cannot fully avoid those states, then give yourself one extra anchor. The list, the unit price check, the cart pause. One of those is enough to slow the drift. You do not have to be perfect. You just need one habit that survives a bad day. Now, let's connect all of this to the bigger picture. What makes grocery shopping feel so exhausting in 2026 is not only the level of prices. It is the way the pressure spreads out across many tiny decisions. A little here, a little there. Less product. More confusion. Faster checkout. More displays. More prompts. More opportunities to overspend without noticing. That is why this problem is so easy to blame on the shopper. If the total climbs, it feels personal. But the system is built to hide the climb in small pieces. So let's do the pattern check together. Ask yourself this. When was the last time you went into the store with a clear list, checked what was already at home, compared unit prices, paused before checkout, and reviewed the receipt? If the answer is not recently, that does not mean you are careless. It means you have been shopping inside a system that makes carefulness harder than it should be. And once you see that, you can stop treating every expensive trip as proof that you failed. Instead, you can treat each trip like a small protection routine. Home check, list, price compare, cart pause, receipt review. That is the whole system. Home check so you do not buy what you already own. List so memory does not get exploited. Price compare so packaging does not trick you. Cart pause so impulse items do not quietly take over. Receipt review so the register does not get the last word. None of that requires extreme frugality. None of that requires panic. And none of that requires you to live in deprivation. It just requires a little structure. And structure is what gives people back control when the system keeps changing the goalposts. One more thing is worth saying clearly. Do not chase every trend. Do not try to master every coupon trick. Do not try to turn grocery shopping into a second job. That is how people get tired and quit. Instead, choose 3 habits that feel natural. Maybe it is the pantry check, the receipt review, and the cart pause. Maybe it is the running list, the leftover labels, and the unit price comparison. Pick the ones that fit your life and repeat them until they become automatic. Consistency beats intensity here. A small routine done every week is far more powerful than a big overhaul you abandon after 2 trips. And if you live on a fixed income or you are supporting a household where every dollar has a job, this matters even more. These tiny protections preserve more than money. They preserve calm. They preserve dignity. They reduce the feeling that the grocery store is always one step ahead of you. That is the real win. Not perfect shopping, not impossible discipline, just being harder to surprise. So the next time you are getting ready to shop, remember the full pattern. Check what is already at home. Write the real list. Compare the unit price, not just the sticker. Pause the cart before checkout. Read the receipt before you leave. If you do those things, you are not just cutting waste. You are taking back a little control from a system that profits when people move too quickly to notice. And that is why these tiny habits matter so much. If this kind of consumer protection breakdown helps, keep it in mind for your next trip. The store may keep changing the game, but you do not have to shop blind.